going on as an end user, they keep on trying to do something. I agree with it. And the other thing is, I have to check
Happy Friday, folks.
what the place we are running and any staff or anything has got there.
Hello, hello.
Yeah,
Hey, Alex. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Okay, hold on. I guess I don't have my audio working.
Wait, is it my audio or
Steve,
your audio?
you're fine, Alex.
Benefit.
Okay.
I can see people talking.
Yep, we're talking.
Okay,
How about now?
there we go. Thank you, Brandon. Where in the world is, well, okay, what is audio? Where in the world is Andrew today?
Right this moment, I'm in one spot I never am. I'm in my house.
It's a great place to be for the weekend.
I'm not going for the weekend. I'm headed to Seoul, Korea in 4 hours. I was waiting for you to put the drink in. Exactly. But I'm home now. So
Well, okay. It's the beginning of a weekend.
exactly. Time zones are relative. It's the weekend and actually Saturday in some places.
That is true.
I think we usually start at 3 after, so
Not
just wait for
5,
that.
not on, but 3. I like it.
3, yeah.
I don't know if they still do it, but because it's been many years since I've been, but in Disney World in Florida, they would have like a speed limit that was like 7 miles an hour instead of like 10 or 15.
They have at 7 miles an hour. It must be universal standard. They have it in one of my customers in their parking garages, so it must be some standard.
What would 7
That is even-
miles be in kilometers?
Yeah. I don't think that's a clean transition or translation
10?
either.
Maybe 10 in kilometers.
I think they just realized when they put it at a really funny number, people actually pay attention.
Yeah. Don't think too much about it.
All right, that's 3 after. And looks like we have the usual suspects here, which is great quorum, and I'm glad to be here with you. Okay, so let's jump into this this action-packed agenda. I think that am I the person in the notes, or am I in the wrong notes?
I saw somebody adding names. Anonymous and Josh, I see.
Maybe I need to refresh my browser.
Do you see the list of names for attendees?
I do, and I refreshed and I see a whole bunch of people on there now, so sorry about that. Okay, so I guess first order of business is kickoff, and do we have any new attendees who would like to introduce themselves and their interests and use cases? I'm just looking at the people here. I think it's everybody who's usually here. Okay. So in the last session, I had proposed to start a series of presentations, demos, and I had volunteered to go, and I put that in the meeting agenda here. But before we jump into that, I just and I was going to do that, just kind of front load the whole meeting with that, and then jump into the administrivia and other concerns. But before I do that, I just wanted to check in with the group and if we're okay to do that in this meeting, or if there's something else we wanted to tackle before we jump into that quick demo.
Quick demos sound great. See some progress, some excitement. Maybe time box it just so we don't, because we can really get carried away with details.
I'm going to go 10 minutes. I'm probably going to hold questions until the end, or maybe even engage asynchronously. This is not a super refined demo, so if you were expecting a laser light show, this is not the place for that. But I will. That's right. Yes,
Your
9
time
minutes.
is clicking. Your time is clicking, Alex.
All right. Okay.
You can hear
No,
the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, tense music in the background. Boom, 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 boom.
And now I'm down to like 9 minutes and 30 seconds. I just very quickly have to go to my slides, and I did make slides.
You're muted, Alex. I think there you go.
Every time I share my screen, it mutes my microphone.
No, it wasn't just me. I'm
Very-
like, what the hell?
I don't know. I don't know why Zoom does that. I'm sorry. Hold on. Can you see my slides? Is that what you said?
Yeah, the slides are good.
You're good now.
Okay.
We can see the slides and hear you.
Okay. Now I got to figure out how to get back to my own slides. Okay. All right. So this is a very quick down and dirty artifact search proof of concept. What we're going to be doing is demonstrating how we can take an existing Helm OCI artifact and very quickly index it and then make it searchable.
And that really just ties into one of the crux problems with Helm and that we face in the Helm community. We can't search for anything new when it comes to the new OCI side of the house. Helm had a facility for you to list contents in a repository and add repositories. When we moved over and adopted OCI, we lost that. And a lot of users are frustrated by that because they want to be able to have a little bit of an apples to apples versus an apples to oranges experience. So what Alex is going to show here in this demo is really how we can start to provide more data for us to be able to query charts that are located, as OCI artifacts in repositories. So Alex, you want to just kind of walk through exactly what we're going to talk about today?
I'm sorry, can you ask the question again?
Go to the next slide and start talking.
Got it. Okay. So this is a proof of concept name resolver. So I chose the term name resolver very, very intentionally. So this name resolver is going to enable artifact search, but it also enables different types of name resolution, not just for artifacts. And it's based on semantic queries, and the data model is specifically leveraging semantic triples to express artifact, to describe artifacts, or and also to describe the relationship between artifacts. So just some really down and dirty stuff. It's using a data model that called the Universal Object Reference, which is something that Andrew and I collaborated on. I've been collaborating on it for a while now. The premise of it here is that it's based on this object type called an element. An element provides some conventions for how to locate a resource, and then how to interact with that resource once it's been located. It can handle the element provides anchors for arbitrary logical schemas, which is the most important, I think the most important part about them. A statement is going to be one of those arbitrary schemas. So it's the first initialized arbitrary schema within the system, and what it does is it allows us to provides a way to do semantic triple expressions.
So Alex, why
And
don't
then each of
can we take a step back and kind of you mentioned these concepts, kind of provide an
Hmm.
overview of what these concepts are before we dive into the nitty gritties, just for everyone's sake.
Yeah, concepts. What do you mean the concepts?
So you mentioned URL statements. How does that actually apply to the bigger picture?
Okay, yeah, I'll just skip to this then. So this is what a single record is going to look like within the system. So you'll see that we've reused some of these. The statement, the object, predicate, and subject within a statement are also elements. So this, people like to say it's turtles all the way down. It really is here. So this is what we're shooting for. So these objects that I'm describing here, the element and the statement, those are the building blocks of what a database record is going to look like, and what we're going to demonstrate. And I think maybe, let's see here. I'd rather just get into the demo probably, and then demonstrate that. But
Yeah,
essentially,
let's show the demo, and then we can kind of go back to how it actually works under the covers.
okay, yeah. All right, so the demo here is, where did I put the demo? Did I pass it? Where's my demo slide, Andrew? There it is. So we're going to copy an OCI Helm chart into my local registry instance, which is based on Zot. What it is Zot with this search API. And then we're going to take the manifest config from the Helm chart OCI artifact, and we're gonna shove it into. If you see here, we're going to shove it into the predicate of a statement. So that's going to describe. That's what we're going to use to search for fields within the Helm chart, and then we're going to set the Helm chart's OCI manifest as the subject. So when we search for attributes of a Helm chart, we're going to be searching within the predicate in this example, and then what we'll get is a resolution to the OCI descriptor of the manifest of the Helm chart. So so here I have GraphQL, and what I've done here is I set up a query resolver called predicates query, and what this is doing is it's allowing us to search through the predicates and as a JSON path for values here. So here we can see that I've queried into the Zot registry, and then I've searched for InfluxDB, and then I was returned this, and then if I go down to the statements type here, the subject that I was trying to resolve. Let's see here.
And just to point out, Alex, this is a GraphQL query, right?
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. No, sorry, I'm returning subject types. So here, then you'll see that one of the and this is like super down and dirty, so excuse me that this resolves this way, but what you'll see at the end here is that it returned a subject of the Helm charts.
Alex,
Man.
do you have this
Yes.
working? Because having all these details is helpful, but at least for me, I'm a little lost around like the experience. This is like, what is it you're trying to solve, and what is the demo? What is the end user experience look like?
You're showing the mechanics of the plane versus how to actually get in the plane.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it does. This does work, and I'm actually going to this data model that that I showed here in the slides, and I'm actually going to recenter.
But is there a Helm search or a Helm command? Like, what does the user experience look like? Have you been able to get that far? Or this is as far as
So this is like really down and dirty, like just GraphQL queries right now. So let me just back up to the user experience, because I think that's a really great point, though, Steve. So what we've done here is you take the manifest config. I think that's called like chart.yaml or values.yaml or something like that in Helm talk. And so you take that JSON and then you shove it into a predicate in this statement. So I have it's very similar to like an in toto statement, right? So you just shove it into the predicate, and then you set the subject of the statement as the OCI descriptor of the charts manifest, right? So then you go in and you can query. You can say, you set your type. Your type is a Helm chart, and then all of your queries are within the Helm chart schema context. So then you're querying for values out of the the chart. Oh, sorry, values.yaml. Is that right? Is it values.yaml, Andrew? I only know this stuff because I'm looking at the manifest config from the artifact, right? So I'm taking the manifest config, I'm shoving it in as a predicate. So I think it's called values.yaml, but I'm not a Helm.
So Alex, what I'd like to kind of get from the group here is that we are making an evolution towards a larger demo that would be more encompassing with Helm and the CLI and user flow. This first one is mainly here's the down and dirty, the engineering specs. And then what we're going to do is we'll evolve over time to then have more concrete, more user, polished types of demos. But this is just the first of, we want to at least get some ideas from the group, in terms of some of the key semantics, and then going from there.
Yeah. So I'm just going to use the last 2 minutes in this in my 9 minutes or whatever to just kind of explain really quickly what we're trying to do, what I've been trying to do in this proof of concept, and that's to create a decentralized publishing system so that everybody can publish markup or these statements that describe artifacts. This system here, if you look at the resource type and locator type, the goal there is to provide something that's an enhancement on the Perl specification, where when a client resolves content, it also knows how to access that content, regardless of if it's in S3 or if it's in OCI or IPFS. It shouldn't matter. The database is dynamic. Users publish JSON schema, or they submit JSON schema to the registry, and then the registry extends its database schema with based on those JSON schema as logical schema extensions of its core data model. And it enables a federated capability where you can discover content across registries, or have pointers to content, or other semantic expressions across registries. So yeah, that's what we essentially did. Is we created the Helm statement as I talked about, publish that statement to the registry. The statement the registry index that statement, and then that's where the basis of my querying for the Helm content or any other content that I specify is. It has these built-in schemas. Eventually, you could publish. And by the way, I don't know if you saw, but it doesn't say it here. The proof of concept should extend the database schema based on JSON schema or JSON LD. And then if we do that, then we can submit things like schema.org and then have all of the taxonomy of schema.org to be able to leverage as we mark up our artifacts. And so right now I'm working on upgrading the data model to the what I've conveyed here. That's tricky because you have to do dynamic GraphQL schema reloading whenever the database schema is updated, which I know how to do. It's just a work in progress. And then I need to get this into an actual Zot extension instead of the hack that I did to get it working for now. So I also have the source for which is very dirty. So don't expect any polished source code, but I do have a source for as the basis of this demonstration.
All right,
also.
Alex, this is great. Once again, this is just step one of a unified, basically, arch. So as Sanjay just asked, we'll share the examples, the presentation, and what we have thus far, and look forward to an evolution, in an upcoming meeting. But at least we want to at least get some initial thoughts on this, proof of concept.
So did I understand right that you were saying that there's JSON scheme to extend this? Does that mean on anybody that's uploading an artifact could extend the database with any kind of abstract schema?
Yeah, so when they do that, there's anchors within the database, within the initialized database. So whenever you extend the database, you're only extending, you're registering an additional logical schema, but it has to be anchored to those anchors, which were the subject, object, predicate fields. That's where the arbitrary data schemas are anchored to.
Yeah, the direction I'm going with that is thinking of, is it possible for a user to submit some kind of denial of service attack against you by throwing up some arbitrarily complex thing? It just completely blows out your database. I'm also thinking of how this would scale to someone like a Docker Hub scale with petabytes of data they need to index across.
Yeah, right now I have everything in the same database. I think if I was going to do a more robust implementation, I would have my core schemas in one database partition, and then have a completely separate database that implements the arbitrary schema, so that to just keep all that separated. But I haven't got all the way there yet, as far as like I have thought about people just submitting arbitrary schema and just hosing, because I forget that I'm using SQLite right now, and I know there's a max table count that you can have, so you could just blow past the max table count and just host the whole server.
This is great, Alex. We'll be able to get more input as we go along, provide some feedback, add some comments into the chat, and then we can hopefully present where we are in a few weeks, when we get a little further.
Yep. Okay, so yeah, if anybody has any questions, I see Sajay put some in here. What I'll do is I'll put the presentation or whatever that was, the slides into the meeting notes, and then I'd love to be able to engage with anybody who's interested on Slack. So that puts us at admin updates, and Talked to Josh today about, or this week, about the website update. We now know where we need to submit that change, so I'll be submitting that PR I think by the end of today. And then and what that is the tag app delivery website has a space for each working group, and so we just need representation on that website. So I'll be doing that today. And then the open issues. I can share. And if somebody would like to talk through the open issues here,
You say open issue. Do you want to just, okay, yeah. So I'd love to talk about Ram's, actually, is it Ram, or I assume it's Ram, actually, when I think about it. Ram, how do I pronounce your name?
Ram, like in father.
Okay, perfect. Do you, you want to start with his? Is that what you're referring to, Alex?
yeah, sorry, it muted me again. Yeah, I just put in the agenda as a placeholder, just have a spot to discuss the open issues and open PRs. I think there's I don't think they're conflicting, but I think there's 2 PRs out there that are of the same nature that we probably need to elect. And then so yeah, I just, which issue did you want to start with? Steve, you had one. You had a nomination.
No, create. You might as well just start from the beginning. Let's just crank through them. Otherwise, they'll just get stale, I guess. I was looking at
Cool.
number 1.
Okay. So we had 2 PRs that were submitted for, I think, that had the similar functionality. Do we want to talk about what the way forward is with regard to these individually and then together?
Yeah, so they. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
I was just saying, did we agree on what we wanted to do? Because I've seen it seems like 2 or 4 spaces used to be the old debate, or tabs and spaces. Now is it 80 characters or line wrap at a sentence? So I'm just curious if we've, because we're talking about how to enforce it, but what are we enforcing?
Yeah, I mean the only difference between those 2 PRs, there's 2 differences. One is I fixed all the issues. You can argue whether I fixed them right or not based on the answer to Steve's question, but I made the machine happy, right? And then I used a tool, a markdown lint GitHub action, but I like the one that Rom found, so I switched over to that one. So I think so. All the stuff that Rom did is copied over into my MR. So I think we can close his if he's okay with that. And then I think Brandon mentioned in there that you guys need to turn on, one of the maintainers needs to turn on GitHub Actions for forks so that you can actually see that these checks passed. That's off by default, apparently.
And a fork it is.
Yes, in a fork, yeah.
Is that done from within the repo settings, or is that an org?
Within your repo right there? Yeah.
Go to settings.
I don't really have any options, so. I think I'm guessing my
Oh, you don't have enough permissions?
Might not.
No.
Josh, do you?
I was actually gonna ask that question because in the chat, because I tried looking into this a little earlier in the week, and I'm like, I don't see much permission for anyone.
Who's the key master?
Who owns the org?
Josh, do you know if Alex and Ram got set as maintainers or contributors?
I can check right now. Yeah, my intent was to give control to you, Alex and Ram, and then let you delegate on. Well, let me see what I actually gave you.
I think this also creeped up in Ram had submitted the code owners.
So you have role maintain, can read, clone, and push to this repository. They can also manage issues, pull requests, and some repository settings. I could give you admin. I'm not sure what that adds, but Ram, you didn't accept yours yet. Are you looking? Are you just looking for yours, Alex?
Josh, if you're looking in there at different people's permissions, can you go into settings and open up actions from there?
Here, I'll show you what I'm looking at. I don't think it's anything since. Select a window. Screen share is loading. Yeah. Okay.
Open
Wow.
actions, left-hand side.
Oh, this?
It shows Alex has
No,
maintained.
back in settings,
Oh, okay.
left-hand side actions. General. Allow. Da, da, da. And so that bottom check might be another one in there. I remember there's something in a fork where you have to click something in here.
Oh, are
There
you-
is. I saw it the other day on a repository I had. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I'm looking for you. I mean, I could try to figure this out, but I wasn't. I'm not sure exactly what we're looking for. Here's what I have added in the repo. You could see that there's these roles. It seemed like maintain was the right one to give. I mean, I'm open to giving you admin. I think that just maybe lets you do
It's just of the repo, right? It's not like you're giving them the org.
Yeah, for sure. There you go. And Ram, I can give you admin too. I don't mind. But your invite expired, so I don't. I have to
Oh,
figure-
okay. Could you send that invite again? I don't know why. I may have missed it.
Yeah, no problem. Let me figure out how to tell it to send again.
That's gonna fix the code owners error on that other PR he submitted to Ram.
Okay.
Did we just change him admin to something else and then re-invite him, or remove and then re-add? I can't remember. I thought I saw a way to resend an invite, but I might be thinking of a different tool.
Oh, there's remove. Good call. Okay. Think that's. I guess let me know if that doesn't give you what you need. I'm hoping from there you, Alex, and Ram can create code owners to assign, delegate down. Does that work?
Yeah, perfect.
Cool. So do we go back to the linter discussion then? Which Ram, are you okay with? Since
Yeah, we can.
Kyle's.
Yeah, we can take Kyle's PR. That's fine.
Okay. All right. So going back to issues, I think that's the
So how do we want to, do we want to discuss the 80 versus sentence thing? And any
Yeah,
other?
go. If you click on the MR, there's a markdown lint.yaml. I think that'll help drive the discussion.
okay.
Yeah, that guy. So we have the defaults
And then-
except for these guys. So we're saying we want dashes, and I stole this from the OCI image spec. I think for the most part, if not exactly.
So this kind of covers the things like, is it the characters use like a dash or star and other stuff? Yeah, I see that. Okay.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
line length one is that line 13 there, corresponded to also number 13 conveniently.
Okay. And just because I'll just put a 2 cents out there because I've seen this debate in both ways. That the thing that's nice around the 1 sentence per line is just makes subsequent PRs on large docs, doc heavy files easier to provide PRs to and comments on. When they wrap, it's hard to figure out which sentence somebody's referring to or how much you copy of the sentence. So if it's 1 sentence, you can like copy the line, paste it in your comment, rename it, reword it, whatever, and put it back in. So that's the one thing that I've seen has been super helpful.
Markdown lint doesn't let you enforce that, but you can turn off their enforcement that would break that. So
what is Markdown? Markdown lint?
the default in
so
Markdown
it
lint
only
is to
knows how to
limit how
do
long the line length is.
I got you.
Yeah. And so I
it
turn on
would be too hard
off the limit on the line length so you can have 1 sentence per line, but there's nothing in there that says you must have 1 sentence per line.
It has no way to know what the period, what is an end of a sentence. That's what I'm
Right.
assuming.
It
They don't
does
have that in
treat
there.
code blocks differently. So you can say, I want to limit the width of code blocks, but don't limit the width
Oh.
of paragraphs. You can
That's
separate
interesting.
those if you want to. And tables, you can limit the width of tables if you want. We probably don't want to do that because we're gonna have a pretty massive table.
Considering the other PR I just submitted, yes. I mean, I like the width max on code samples because that's always that frustrating when you get the scroll bar you're just trying to read because where a sentence get automatically wrapped. So that's kind of the balance that's happened there. Okay, so this solves the linter part. If we agree to that direction, then I guess we just need another doc that says this is what. But I guess how does somebody know that's gonna that they should be using underscores as opposed to they should be using underscores for emphasis as opposed to what is it, single star or double star? I forget which one's which. Do we want to write a doc that says here's our coding, our document conventions, and then the linter implements those?
Yeah, the convention I put in there was underscore for emphasis and double star for bold. And the reason I put it in the Markdown lint, I'm saying I in a lot of this, I'm the one that did the OCI one. The reason I put that specifically in there was to make sure that it was consistent across multiple files, because by default, what it makes sure was that you're consistent within a single file.
Gotcha.
So that when you copy and paste from reorganizing, you're not, and I gotta change these stars to dashes or that type of lines.
So across all the files within the repository, there's one standard for everybody.
So agreed. What I was just suggesting, do we want a document that says what our standard is, and then we have a linter that implements it, is what I'm suggesting. Like, do we want a PR first that says, here's what we're agreeing we want to put as conventions?
Maybe in an effort to not maintain another document that can get out of sync with this one, maybe we add more documentation to this Markdown. I mean, it's YAML, so we have comments. We can add, make it very clear what this is. There's some comments in there that are pretty good that I stole from Brandon unapologetically. But we can add some more as we add like the code blocks and so on. And if there's any other non Markdown lint stuff, we can include that as comments at the bottom as just a paragraph. Okay, here's some other stuff that Markdown lint doesn't do. Like maybe we want to do the 1 sentence per line thing. We could document it there, and then the README can point to this YAML file. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but at least it's consistent.
But it doesn't get out of sync, to your point. It won't be 2 files that we need a third linter to keep the document in sync with the linter. Yeah. Makes sense.
Might we be able to just in the contributing guide say that we're enforcing Markdown linting and then refer people to look at that YAML from the contributing guide?
That'd be great. Send them a pointer this way. That I just hate what I found is most people don't really care. They just want to know what to do so they don't have to go back and redo it all after they've done a big PR. So if we can just do that up front as much as possible.
I can add that. Do we have any agreement on the 1 sentence per line rule.
I like it.
We got +1 for me.
Okay, I'll add that in there as like documentation inside that file. That's not really enforced, but it's there.
Yeah, and then somebody could just comment on a PR review saying, hey, this doesn't follow, blah, blah, blah. And then point them to the comment that says this is what we do. And
Cool. Okay, so once Kyle adds that, then I think we can move on this. Was there any more discussion around issue number 1 that we wanted to have before we move on?
so do we want to just merge this one is there some edits we want to do to this one? I guess it's which one, there's 2 of them.
Yeah, well, okay, so just so we're in agreement, Rom, I'm gonna close this if you're okay with that. Just to confirm again, I know we already said that.
That's fine. Yes, close this.
Okay. Okay, this is closed. And then was there any more discussion around, I think the question was, do we want to discuss anything else here?
Is there anything we need changed in this, or do we want to just merge this one and add a PR on top for the additional comments?
I defer to Kyle.
Let me work. Give me a half hour or whatever, and I'll have it exactly how we want it. We still have the issue of we don't know how to turn on the fork, like the GitHub actions, so we can actually see the results for forks of these actions. They're not running.
What do you mean with forks? Like if it's in your repo, why does it copy the GitHub action to yours when you do a fork? Maybe I don't understand how this works.
I don't know if I 100% know either. I know in my organization, there is a button I can click when I dig down through settings, actions, general, that says allow actions to run in forks.
So the action would run here on your fork. So the risk is you can be some random bad person and submit a PR, and now you just deleted all of GitHub.
It's more nuisance for the person that is forking your repo and doing changes before they submit it upstream, that they don't want to have you kicking off a whole lot of actions on your local fork of this stuff that might have access to all the secrets and other stuff the actions are normally doing.
But didn't I see that feature where it says the first time approver a maintainer has to click a button for it to run?
Can I share real quick?
Yeah. Because I thought I saw, Josh, that you had already clicked that option.
I had to go digging through my own repos files. Under the actions tab for any one of your forks, there'll be a big green button. So it looks like it was already clicked on yours. And so this just probably needs to be resubmitted in another force push or something to trigger it. But by default, if you have a fork of some other repo, they're not enabled by default.
I don't know exactly where you're at here. I definitely, like a couple of years ago when I was working on Potato Head, I spent weeks trying to enable builds on forks and pushing to the registries of a fork, and it was, I don't know, it was death by a million cuts.
In my repo under the actions tab, this is just what I'm looking at right now for something that I haven't enabled on. Big green button you just got to click.
You have
So
to
Alex,
have.
you're sharing. Do you want to go over to hit settings?
Yeah.
Want me to stop sharing for you?
Well, your sharing never came through for some reason.
Oh, well, probably because he was sharing.
Oh, I can. Okay. Either way, if you want to drive me, I will go wherever.
Scroll up. Scroll up. It was the actions tab itself. So Go to the Actions tab there on the
Okay.
top. And I feel like you were here earlier and it was okay. Yeah. So you don't have what I was showing off on my screen.
You want to try
I can show you what it looks like if you didn't have that.
Yeah. Do I need to stop sharing for you to?
Yeah.
I'll just stop sharing. Okay. Oh
I
wait,
don't know why
I'm not
everybody was so
sharing.
quiet when I was talking there. Yeah. So
Okay.
if I just look at one of my own forks of some random project and I click on the Actions tab, big giant green button that says, hey, you need to enable this to turn on. And you don't have that, which means you are running workflows on a fork. My guess is maybe someone clicked this after the fact. And so that PR just needs to be force pushed again and it might trigger. That's a guess though.
Yeah, we'll be testing that in a few minutes. So
okay.
Cool. So Kyle, if you're not getting it to kick off, maybe just ping Alex or Josh. Although Alex should have permissions at this point, looks like, on the Slack.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
So Kyle, you're gonna do a quick addition to that or modification, and I think what they're saying is once you push, you should be good as far as running the action. Okay. And then do we want to discuss any of these other open PRs or defer to the group?
Let's if we do ROMs, I think it's quick because his next. We did the Markdown Lind. Yeah, the issue template. So I love the result. My challenge was it just seemed kind of heavyweight for the for an issue, which issues are supposed to be like short-lived. So if we can just copy that over to be a template in a folder, then let's track issues of what package managers we want to implement, we want to capture, or kind of like to-do lists. But the burden of the work is actually in a PR as that multiple people can iterate over. What do you think, Ram?
Absolutely okay with it. Yeah. This was just a first attempt on trying to capture what we want. It's perfectly fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like, I love the content. It just felt overweight for iterating on issues, and so yeah, if we could just copy that over, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll fix this.
And then I did like, I was thinking, if you can scroll up a little bit, Alex, there was maybe a small subset just to have some amount of information captured, just like, hey, can you scroll up a little bit, Alex, I think I put, or scroll down depending on whether you're 0 or 1 based. The other way, I scroll up a little bit to wherever you scroll to the part that I pasted a subset. Yes, let's go up a little bit more. Yeah, so maybe that's it right there. So maybe just really minimize the template of, describe the package manager, like just really, really simple. And then what I liked, I think, Brandon, you've been doing this, has been putting links into the various other repos. Like when the OCI specs had some updates, is going to the various package managers and putting links there that backtrack. Say, hey, can you come take a look at this? And this is a place that we could maybe say, put an NPM in there, then put a link, put an issue in NPM to help us with this, and then go to same with RPM and so on and so forth.
Yeah, to the trolling of requests for feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Just
I will change the PR for that.
Yeah. So these two are being addressed. Ram, I think if once you accept so the code owner's validated once you accepted, so this is going to be good.
No, I accepted. I accepted it, so it should be okay now.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And then it looks like this is, Steve had some feedback on here.
I was just
This is,
starting.
yeah.
I didn't get it done before the meeting. I was trying to. I forgot that you had the extra file. Like the first file, I was about to say, can we merge this and then make iterations? But then I saw you had the second file that had a lot of content. So I just need some more. Personally, I just need some more time. I don't know if others have had a chance to look at it yet.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of the base content from the original charter information. So I thought it was a good seed, and like you said, iterate on it. I didn't really have any more thoughts on it. Was there anybody else that wanted content? Do we just need more time to review this then? Do we want to give it another week before we look at merging this?
Do we need another week, or maybe just set expectations for a couple of days?
Yeah, I would wait for.
I'll take my time right after the meeting. I'll take a look and get through that other paragraph or the other file. But if anybody else has, 15 minutes or so to do a quick scrub.
Okay, and this is all very, very similar to the charter. So I think if anybody has any major heartburn over it, I mean, we can just iterate on it pretty quickly. So we're just gonna say by end of the day we'll try to have this merged in. Okay. Okay. Trying to find tab. And then Steve, this brings us to your, you just submitted this an hour ago.
Yeah, I apologize. I was out last week and just was really busy this week. So sorry I didn't give more time for people to review. It's this, when people are reviewing it, look at more for formatting as opposed to detailed content. In fact, I did a quick scrub because I realized I didn't have my spell checker enabled. But if you want to right click on the first file, you'll see it and preview it. So not OCI, but on use cases MD. Yeah, that one. Oh, I forgot you can do that right in line like that. I usually right click on the ellipse and open in another window, but it works.
Yeah, okay.
And Kyle, was it you that, or Colin actually provided some snippets for trying to do backgrounds, and unfortunately what is supported in Slack wasn't consistently supported on a local VS Code renderer, or different again in GitHub. So I landed on circles with a star. I think it, basically, and I realize I need to put a key in there as well. But I'm first experimenting. Do we even like this formatting? So red is not supported. A red with a star is there might be some additional comment in it. Green supported, and white is just unknown. So I just was not trying to be complete as opposed to trying to test the formatting here. And there's two formatting things I was trying to test. One, when you're viewing it like this, does this make sense? And then as you're trying to edit it, how reasonable is it to edit? So let's start with kind of the end result here. This document would be, hey, here's a bunch of use cases that we'd like to see implemented, or that are implemented on various package managers, with the goal that if package managers are trying to add a capability, they can look at what others have already done and learn if what they didn't work well, and they learned it as a result, or something did work well and they'd like to just copy that. So that was kind of the goal of the grid. So what I did was I put the use cases on the left and the package managers across the top, and then each one of those is a link, like the list of packages goes down below. And then if you want to look at the details for any one of them, so for instance, when you look at OCI and I have a star, this way I didn't have to put the text in the cell. So Kyle, to your point, it doesn't wind up being 8 monitors wide. That you could click on OCI at the top and it would go to that file. And if you want to just click on that, Alex, we'll click on the OCI one on the top of the grid. And then, oh, okay, yeah, so you have to kind of go back. It's just the way it's, can you go back in your page?
Yeah.
And then maybe just right click on it and say preview file instead of, because I don't think this works in this format.
Yeah. let's see if I
Right
can
click on,
see.
if you click on use cases and say preview file in another tab.
Click on use cases.
On the, yeah, so that ellipse, then right click and says view file and say open new tab. Right click.
All right.
And then
You'll have to
Are you
redo the sharing because you're only sharing a single tab.
oh, sharing tab. All right, sorry.
Boom. It's all good. Okay, so then click on OCI.
Well,
Yeah,
will
there
this
it
work
is.
now? Okay, great. So then what I did was I kind of repeated the list, and I'm not sure I like this because I'm worried about the headings having an emoji in the heading if you try to link to it. But you can see that this is where I started to elaborate. And again, please don't nit on the details of the explanation. I put enough details to try to show an example of why I've got a star on something versus a not. So for instance, the list of packages, there is an API that turned out not to work. So that's why it's red with a star, because some of them have it. So there's the beginning of something that could work if we solved the problems on why it didn't. And then if you look at versions, the tag listing does list the versions, but it doesn't provide searching capabilities. So for instance, or it doesn't, it's so free form that some people would argue it's not as useful because it's too open because it's a string. So again, not trying to debate that particular one, but how do we like the formatting of this concept to start to capture? So as we're starting to fill out the details, do we think this scales? Then the last part, just to, as part is the second part of the view. If you click on use cases MD on the left, Alex, is as you're editing it, all the way at the bottom. When we look at the file, and come out of preview mode, go to raw, because we don't get to edit it in a WYSIWYG editor. What I try to do, I was trying to figure out a good balance of tables because we've all had fun trying to edit tables. So if you notice, because I started putting links in the package types at the top, I couldn't align the width to be the same for the cells that you would put, red, white, or green circles, red, green, or white circles. So what I did is I messed with a comment, and I put a comment across the top and the bottom to help you visually align which one's which. And luckily, white and green are the same number of characters for the emoji, and red is 2 characters less, so I put a space on either side. So it kind of, to the best I could, and granted your screen is line wrapping a bit, but I try to do the best I could with what we had available, and yeah, there you go.
I don't think I'm doing anybody any favors with their eyes though here.
Well, I think we're reading the content, but we're reading the format. I think that's the more important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ram, I see your comment there. So I think Kyle mentioned that last week, or Colin, I can't remember who. How many maybe I haven't thought about it, but I sure will have more scenarios. So that list will grow. How many more package managers are there really? I mean, I'm sure there's a couple of more. Is there 3 more? Are there 10 more?
If the claim is that any new package manager we are happy to onboard, then that list is really infinite. But realistically, yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of smaller package managers which we may or may not. Do we want to just make another PR on here and like how many more are there? Because my big concern with trying to rotate them was, my thought was we'd actually have more use cases, was 1, and 2, trying to put I already trimmed the title of the use case, so it is a bit wide, but it was wider in the Google Doc. trying to put the list of the use case as a width of a column seemed pretty unmanageable. If you notice, even Alpine, I did a break and put APK below it. So if we put the use cases across the top, unless we figure out how to rotate text in Markdown, I don't know how that would scale. Oh, it's 11 o'clock. I'm sorry, folks.
Thanks for
we can
keeping
go
that on
async.
time, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do time cop and comment on the PR, Slack, whatever works. We can toss this out and go for a completely different format. I was just experimenting with ideas.
Cool. Anything else before we go? Just any last minute hey gotchas? Okay, cool. All right. Well, great working session. Looking forward to our next one, and hope you guys have a good weekend.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you. Bye.